is one simple hack that will increase your productivity by a huge margin. Introducing my whiteboard. If you're interested in increasing your productivity every day, I'll share with you the exact blueprint that I use to be the most productive version of myself possible. You may be wondering exactly how a whiteboard can help you be more productive, and I will show you exactly how right now. Before I get into this, I would like to add, I am kind of sick. As you can tell, my right eye is a little red because I have pink eye and I'm still getting over a cold. So please bear with me while I describe all of this. And right now in my life, this whiteboard is more relevant than ever because it's keeping me productive and it's giving me a schedule, even though I'm a little too sick to do a lot of the things that I would normally be doing. So here's a brief overview and a look at my whiteboard. I've divided it up into roughly 4 or 5 sections, each of which I'll explain, and I will start with the most important part of my whiteboard, the rules section. This is what I look at first whenever I wake up and plan out my day, and it's sort of the commandments that I live by every day. I have 13 points that I've made for myself, and this just kind of gets me started and ready to start the day and be productive. So let's start with the first rule. Be consistent with career, hobbies, and fitness. Stick to them and don't add or subtract anything. So this is something that I'll elaborate a little further on. On my whiteboard, you can see I've sort of divided up my being into 3 distinct categories. I have career, hobbies, and fitness. And within each of those categories, I have the things that I'm working on and trying to be consistent with daily. I've had problems in the past with adding too many hobbies and doing too many things at once, so that's why I say stick to them and don't add or subtract anything. I've chosen these hobbies and these things with my career and my fitness level very precisely, and I've taken a lot of time to figure out what exactly I want to do, and that is exactly what I recommend to you. Figure out what you want out of your career, out of your hobbies, and out of your fitness. And also, these are just 3 of my own categories. You can come up with your own as well, but I found that dividing yourself into 3 categories, or maybe 2 to 4 categories, is probably the best way to do things. So let's take a look at career. This is my #1 priority, and within the career section, I have school and YouTube. I'm trying to make YouTube my job, and I'm going to school because I'm interested in my major, so career is my #1 priority. And because of this, I've made an effort to make sure that I hit both school and YouTube once a day. That's what it means when I have 2 a day written. It means no matter what, I'm getting school and YouTube done every day. And now let's take a look at the hobbies section of my whiteboard. Within the hobbies section, I have reading, learning, and violin. I'm trying to get better at the violin, and I'm trying to learn Latin right now, and I also like to read on occasion. So with hobbies, I've said I can do 1 to 3 per day. It's really up to you how you structure your day, and this is something I'll get into later of how exactly you can structure your day to make yourself the most productive version of you possible. And once again, I will stress this, don't try to copy me. Choose your hobbies carefully, and your hobbies will certainly look much different than mine. Maybe you're trying to learn an instrument as well, and maybe it is violin, but maybe you're trying to learn piano or guitar. Something like that. Really take the time to figure out exactly who you want to be. Now let's look at the last section. So in my section for fitness, I have running and working out or lifting, and lastly, jujitsu. Right now, I need time to do jujitsu and money, but that's another story. So with fitness, as you can see, I've written 1 to 2 per day. I think this is a pretty good milestone or marker to hit for fitness, because at least every day you're getting some level of activity, but also be sure to schedule in 1 day of rest at least. So that is a brief summary of my first rule to myself. Stick to career, hobbies, and fitness, and don't add or subtract anything. So that's a brief overview of how I divide my day or my being. So this brings me into the second section of my whiteboard, the today section. This is exactly what it sounds like. Basically, every morning when I wake up, I go through my rules, and once I'm done reading my rules, I fill out my day and I plan out exactly what I'm doing in exactly the order that I should get things done in. This just makes it so that I can schedule in exactly what I need to do, including rest and relaxation time. And every day is different. Sometimes I might have some errands to run, so making a schedule every morning is really good because you can't really predict everything that's going to happen in your life. For some people, maybe your schedule is a little more consistent, so planning out a weekly schedule might be more beneficial to you. But for me personally, I find it's very useful to just plan out my day every morning. Because some days, let's face it, you're not feeling like putting in a lot of work, and it is good to give yourself a breather every once in a while. Now let's get to rule number 2. Don't limit yourself. Put more work in if you can. Almost a direct contradiction to what I just said, sometimes it is good to put more work in. I'm a believer in making work enjoyable. That's how it should be. And if you're not enjoying the work you're putting in, that's probably a sign that you're doing it for the wrong reasons, or you may want to change the thing that you're working on. And I'll give you a good example of this. Sometimes YouTube feels like a chore. Sometimes making these YouTube videos can be boring for me to make, and sometimes I come off as a robot because I don't even believe what I'm saying. This is something I've had to work on, and I've had to learn to enjoy the process of putting in work. But once you enjoy the process of putting in work, it becomes very easy to work even harder and work even longer and even more frequent. So that's why I say don't limit yourself. Now on to rule number 3. Listen to others and drop your ego. Apply what they have to say if it benefits you. Listen to everyone and don't judge something you don't understand. This rule is exactly what it sounds like. I think dropping your ego in any situation allows you to learn something that normally you might be closed off to. So if someone comes off as insulting you, it's best to drop your ego and put it on the side and maybe consider that what the person is telling you might be true, and it might offer you some piece of advice that could help better you and become a better version of yourself. But adding on to that, I think it's important to not pass judgment onto other people. This can kind of just get in their heads, and maybe they have certain insecurities about their personality, and when we pass judgment onto them, we might affirm their insecurities and keep them from growing as individuals. So don't judge people, and especially don't judge something you don't understand. Now on to rule number 4. Remember that one day you will die. Be grateful to be alive and make the most of what you have. So this is something I think it's very good to remind yourself of daily, that today very well might be the last day you will be alive. It's important to make every day the most of what it possibly can be, because to be alive is very special. We're only alive once as this person, and then we will die. So to us, this life is all we get, and once it's over, it's over. So do not take the present moment for granted. Don't take life for granted. Don't take your problems for granted either. This is a big one. I think a lot of people would probably kill to be in the situation that I'm in right now. I definitely don't take that for granted at all. And most people would probably not want to be in my situation, but that's perfectly fine. I'm grateful for where I am. I'm grateful for the problems I have, and I'm working my hardest. I'm doing the best I can with what I have. Now, rule number 5. Remember your short and long-term goals. I actually switched out my goals section on my whiteboard for a section that I just call random, and this just sort of helps me get rid of the random errands or things that I have to do in my life. Things like renewing my tag on my car, for example. I also have a positive thought counter on there. I'm trying to get to 100 days of thinking more positively to try to reshape the way that I think. But I also think if you want doing a goals section instead of a random section is good. But the point being with this rule is every morning remind yourself of why you're putting in the work. This will keep you motivated over a longer period of time, because I think most people, including myself, often get lost in the sauce a little bit. If we're putting in work every day towards something, sometimes we forget why exactly we're putting in all this work. So it's good to remind yourself of why you're working and what all this work is for, and to just tell yourself that eventually one day all of this work will pay off. Rule number 6, visualize your day and put intention behind everything. Once again, this is exactly what it sounds like. When you're planning out your day, it's important to visualize every aspect of your day and see yourself getting those things done. This not only makes it easier for you to get those things done and accomplish everything during the day, but it also makes sure that you have put intention behind your day. There is a goal to today, and you are working towards that. Intention is probably one of the most important things in your life. If you don't have intention with what you're doing, you're just being whisked around by either your emotions, your impulses, your desires, or the wants and needs of other people. I think everyone can agree that all of those things are not fun, and having intention for yourself is very important. So put intention behind everything you do, and that's not easy. I think the way we can get better at this is to be more present and be more aware of what we're thinking, and also stop doom scrolling so much. Rule number 7, do not care for what other people think of you. Very straight and to the point, but the more you care about what other people think of you, the more you are not being authentic. And you're also trying to fit their expectations of what they want from you. Rule number 8, always be positive and honest. This rule is by far one of the hardest to stick to, because sometimes in life, things just are not going your way, and being positive is not easy at all to do. Rule number 9, don't talk about yourself unless asked, and keep it short. I have struggled with this in the past. I'm a bit of a chatterbox, and I tend to talk way too much a lot of the time. So I made a rule for myself to not talk about myself so much, and be more interested in what other people have to offer to me. Rule number 10, don't take yourself too seriously. At the end of the day, like I was saying earlier, we only have one chance at life. We won't be able to experience this anymore, and we are going to forget about a lot of the problems that we have right now. I think a lot of the problems that we have are way too trivial to be so hung up over, so that's why I say don't take life too seriously. Rule number 11, life is short, so live it, and don't forget to smile. While you and I are both trying to maximize how productive we are during the day, I think it is important to stop and smell the roses every once in a while. Try to have a social life. Go out every once in a while and meet new people, because that can bring a lot of joy into your life, and probably way more joy than the goals that we're working towards will have to offer for us. The last and final rule is go with the flow. Don't try to force your own life story on life. Otherwise, life is just going to humble you, and it's going to keep taking things from you. Just let things be and let go of everything and go with the flow, because everything will work out the way it's supposed to. So that about covers the rules section on my whiteboard, and I think I've given you a pretty good overview of exactly how I structure my day. Now, the last little section that I'll talk about is this section here on my whiteboard. It's just a little motivational message that I've left for myself, which I'll go ahead and read to you now. Do what is required today to achieve the results for tomorrow. Good job, you're doing great. Don't question the process, you're making progress. Trust the progress and have faith in yourself. Stay the course, carpe diem. Like I said, I am learning Latin right now, and carpe diem means seize the day. This is a message that I'll look at when I'm particularly feeling down on myself, and I highly encourage you to write a motivational message that you can look at any time and it just inspires you. That's my whiteboard, and that's how I organize myself every day. You can change all of this if this doesn't work for you. This isn't supposed to be an end-all be-all thing, and even this I will probably end up changing in the future. This is just finally what's worked for me after using a whiteboard for years to try to organize myself. So I hope that this can help you as much as it's helped me. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel. Subscribing really does mean everything to me, and I just love seeing that number grow. And also, if you have anything to share, anything you'd like to add, leave a comment. I really love interacting with everyone who watches my videos. It really does make my day to see a comment. A subscriber is one thing, but a comment really is another. So if you're feeling like making conversation, please leave a comment as well. Thank you for watching, and I will see you again very soon. Goodbye.